Hello everyone, and welcome to this Education Plus professional development session. My name is Stuart Jansen. My pronouns are he, him, and I will be your host. Today, we'll be talking about well-being. Our goal is to empower youth and educators with the tools to take action and care for themselves and each other. This professional development session has been brought to you by Wellbeing Canada, a program designed to empower every Canadian to support their own well-being. Check it out. With the Wellbeing Canada program, we can build the foundation for today's generation to become healthy, active citizens who care about themselves and the well-being of those around them. To gain access to all the free resources offered by Wellbeing Canada, visit wellbeing-canada.ca. As we get started today, I want to begin by acknowledging that the land that I'm on here in Toronto, Ontario, is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, as now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. I also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaties, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. I want to remind you that this session isn't just a show, but a conversation, and we would love to hear from you in the chat. We have live moderators waiting to answer your questions and engage with your insights. Let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. In the chat, please type your name, your role as an educator, and let us know which well-being word resonates most with you and why. Now, I'm excited to introduce your presenters for today, my friends Sarah Zabrkin, the Senior Director of Education Plus, and Kristen Cowgill, the Program Manager of Education Plus. Over to you, Sarah and Kristen.
Thanks so much, Stuart. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for being here with Sarah and I today to talk about the mental health and well-being of your students. We're so happy to be here to talk about this topic because we've heard time and time again from both teachers and students that well-being and mental health is one of the most important issues in your classroom today. We feel so strongly that taking care of the well-being of your students is just as important as caring for their academic growth. So thank you for investing this time in helping your students thrive. So one practice we like to encourage you to try with your students is connection before content. It's little moments that allow you to engage your students before you move on to the content of your lesson. So let's try it out here. If you could have the perfect classroom, would it be A, a Pinterest perfect classroom, B, an outdoor classroom, C, a virtual classroom, or D, what we're calling a green eggs and ham classroom, meaning it doesn't matter where you would teach your students anywhere. Go ahead and type it in the chat, which one looks best to you. If you have a different idea, though, of the perfect classroom that isn't one of these, go ahead and tell us about that as well. Let's take a look at our agenda for today. First, we'll be taking a closer look at why it's so important to address mental health and well-being with your students, including the immense research that supports the benefits of social and emotional learning. Next, we'll explore our brand new Wellbeing Canada curriculum and how to use it in your classroom. And finally, we'll take a closer look at how students can take ownership of their own well-being and the well-being of others too. So we always like to start off with the why before we move on to the how. I know we got a glimpse of this in the intro video that Stuart played for us earlier, but mental health and well-being, especially since the pandemic, have become an area that we cannot afford to ignore. And it's so important that we take the time to illustrate why. So let's take a closer look at some facts and figures. In 2018, 62% of youth in Canada rated their mental health as excellent or very good. By 2020, however, only 40% of youth rated their mental health as very good or excellent, which is actually the largest drop of any other age group. You can also see here that 57% of youth reported a worsening of their mental health since the pandemic, and that more than half viewed their mental health differently than their parents did, meaning parents might not always be aware that their child is struggling with mental health. Looking beyond these figures on mental health, however, research shows again and again that social emotional learning is not only crucial for our students struggling with mental health, but for all of our students as well. So let's take a look at these going further. First and foremost, SEL has been shown to lead to safer school environments with less aggression and bullying behavior, which of course is always a top priority. Another crucial piece is that according to hundreds of studies conducted on over 1 million students, SEL is also linked to increased academic performance. In fact, students receiving SEL instruction showed an average academic increase of 11 percentile points, with an average of 13 percentile points years down the road. Along with that, studies show SEL increases graduation rates and post-secondary and employment opportunities. It also benefits various demographic groups, decreases substance abuse as adults, allows for fewer relationship issues, and also leads to better physical health. So SEL instruction is crucial in our classrooms, not only for our students' well-being, but for their long-term safety and also academic success. So now that we've reviewed the importance of SEL instruction as a whole for our students' well-being, let's take a different look at how it directly affects you in your classroom. Here you can see teacher feedback from the 2-year study that our curriculum went through. And by implementing our well-being curriculum, teachers not only saw all of these positive impacts on their students you see at the top of your screen, but also on themselves as educators. We all know that teacher burnout is definitely a real thing, especially in our post-COVID world. So knowing that SEL instruction will not only improve your students' mental health and academic growth, but your own well-being and capacity as an educator makes it even more hard to argue against implementing SEL instruction. And finally, here you can just see some quotes from teachers just like you that participated in our 2-year curriculum study. You can see that they felt that their program was easy to use, they liked how the lessons built on one another, that their students really enjoyed the lessons, and again, that they felt that both their students and their own well-being improved. And I especially love the one on the bottom, the quote from the 8th grade teacher, because no matter what grade we teach, there are always going to be those students that don't buy in or are not comfortable with things like mindfulness practice in front of their peers. But she said, despite those kiddos that didn't buy in, the practice still set a positive tone in her classroom, and she saw students open up more and more as the program progressed. And now it's my honor to introduce our guest for today, Dr. Kimberly Schonert-Reichel. She's a world-renowned SEL expert and the Novo Foundation Endowed Chair of Social and Emotional Learning in the Department of Psychology at the University of Illinois at Chicago. She also served as the principal investigator for the 2-year research study for the Wellbeing Canada program. So let's hear what she has to say about SEL.
We are truly in a crisis time. We are in a crisis moment, and we have to find something to do about that. When we see the escalating mental health crisis that's happening, not only among our children, but among our adults, we're seeing increased violence and crime. We are seeing increased apathy towards seeing, violence among others. We really are at a turning point. And what we know now from science is that you can promote these positive skills. We focus a lot on decreasing the ill-being, decreasing depression and anxiety and stress. And I think those are all critical, but we also know from the science that you can promote these positive human qualities like happiness and joy and gratitude and empathy. And I think that's really what we need for the future of our society, is our citizens to have those skills, to not only be happy and healthy, but also to be kind, compassionate, and empathic. We know from the brain science that the brain is plastic. Neuroplasticity really tells us that these social and emotional skills can be taught. They're malleable, and you can develop them at any point in your life. We know from decades of science that how children feel affects how and what they learn. We also know that these skills can be promoted through programs like the Wellbeing Program. The children who receive social and emotional learning programs not only develop better empathy, get along better, manage their stress, they also achieve higher academic achievement. So there's no longer any excuse to say you cannot fit this into the curriculum, because social and emotional learning not only helps promote better well-being, it also promotes academic achievement. What is truly unique about the Wellbeing Program is the integration of service learning with social and emotional learning. This is unique of all SEL programs. And what we know about service learning, it truly is experiential learning. The students engage in activities that benefit others and their community. And through those activities, they benefit through their social and emotional skills. They help develop a sense of purpose. They develop a sense of empathy and compassion for others. And they also develop something we call a pro-social value orientation. And what that means, they develop an identity that they themselves can make a difference in the world and make the world a better place. Teachers are the engines of social and emotional learning. It is teachers who have the social and emotional competencies and their own well-being in which they can then truly implement social and emotional learning programs for their students, where their students can benefit. For over a decade, I have been studying the well-being and the social and emotional competencies of teachers. And what we know from the research is that teachers with strong social and emotional skills, the ability to manage their own emotions, to be aware of others' emotions, to build positive relationships, to manage their stress, are not only better at getting along with colleagues, they're also able to create classroom contexts where all students can thrive and flourish. And really, what it emphasizes to us that in order to really support the students' social and emotional learning, we really need to start with the educators and help develop their own well-being as well as their social and emotional competencies. Some of the most compelling findings that emerged in our interviews with teachers and our questionnaires with teachers about implementing the Wellbeing Program included, number one, teachers told us that they benefited professionally from implementing the Wellbeing Program with their students. They talked about how integrating the program into the classroom, seeing the students engaged in these activities of service learning, talking about gratitude, how much they learned professionally in implementing this kind of program. But what was also fascinating is that teachers told us that basically they also benefited personally from implementing the Wellbeing Program. They talked about having conversations with their students about well-being made them reflect on their own well-being and the qualities they had. And so much of the activities were not only for the students, that the teachers said they themselves were able to benefit from thinking about these concepts and being able to think about gratitude and practice these activities. And really, I have to say, one of the most fascinating findings, we had such overwhelming positive response from teachers, but I've done a lot of research on social and emotional learning programs over the years, and one thing that we had never found before, when we asked the well-being program teachers, would they recommend the well-being program to a colleague, we had a full 100% of teachers said they would recommend it to a colleague. Social and emotional learning is not another thing on the plate. It is the plate. That promoting the well-being of our students using programs like the well-being program is essential for learning, for success in life, for being able to get along with others, being able to manage their stress. And so the idea of taking a program like the well-being program and thinking that it should just be offered, one time a week, just dealing with students' well-being very infrequently, is not really what we need right now. What we need right now is a program like the well-being program that's integrated into the very fabric of everyday classroom experiences, that children have the opportunity to talk about how they're doing, how they could help others, how they could practice gratitude, how they could practice empathy. All of the factors that we know that are foundational to the well-being program need to be part of the regular school curriculum. So if I had my dream of what I would want to see for the current schooling, is that the promotion of children's well-being, of students' well-being, is seen the same way as the promotion of math and science and social studies and reading, that the well-being is just a part and becomes just an explicit and intentional part of our school curriculum.
So now that we've walked through just how important SEL is in your classroom, we want to give you a moment to think about all that you've heard and what has been your biggest takeaway so far. We're going to put a few minutes on the clock, so feel free to jot down your thoughts, or if you're watching live, we'd love to hear from you in the chat. And now I'm going to throw it back over to our dear friend Stuart for a little game of fact or fiction. Take it away, Stuart.
Now let's find out how much you know about well-being in this game of fact or fiction. The game is simple. I'm going to make a statement and you're going to tell me if it's fact or fiction in the chat. Here we go. Round 1. Well-being is the satisfaction one feels about their own mental health. This is fiction. The CDC actually lays out different aspects of well-being, including physical well-being, economic well-being, development and activity, social well-being, emotional well-being, psychological well-being, life satisfaction, and engaging activities and work. Now for round 2. You don't have to commit time and work to caring for your own well-being. Is this fact or fiction? This is a fact. Caring for our well-being should be something we incorporate throughout the day instead of something we schedule or put time aside for. That being said, it's also important to put time aside for the things that you enjoy. Now for our final round, fact or fiction. Alone time is always good for your well-being. This is fiction. While alone time can be peaceful, people who have a community are happier, recover faster from illness, feel valued and important, and give a sense of belonging. Thanks for playing Fact or Fiction. I hope you went 3 for 3.
Now we're going to switch gears and move from the why of social and emotional learning to the how by taking a closer look at the Wellbeing Canada resources. To access these resources, you're going to simply start by visiting the Education Plus website. You'll see the URL there. When you arrive on the homepage, you'll hover over the initiatives option on the top right side, and you'll see the Wellbeing Canada option pop up. Now to start, there are 3 learning goals of the Wellbeing Canada curriculum. The first is to support our students to promote their social and emotional learning competencies and well-being. Secondly, it's to help our young people improve their self-management, social and self-awareness abilities. And finally, to help our students build healthy relationships with themselves, with their peers, and with their larger community. Now, when it comes to the resources, here is a glance at what's available to you. We have lesson packages for K-12 broken down by 4 different grade bands. And then in addition to our lesson packages, we have some complementary resources, including a foundational module, some trauma-informed practice modules, and a great educator guide on the Wellbeing Canada program. For K-6 lessons, while they are differentiated, they include the same well-being topics, and we always encourage starting with a foundational module as the very first step to set the stage for a safe and caring classroom environment. From there, we then encourage you to go into the well-being and mindfulness lessons 1 through 4, following gratitude, empathy, and compassion, before students are then exploring altruism, resilience, and doing a comprehensive review and reflection on how much they've learned and how their outlook has changed from the beginning of the Wellbeing program to where they are today. For K-6 classrooms, you also find activity cards. Now, on the screen are just 2 examples for you, so you get a better feel of what they look like. But for K-3, you'll find activity cards on feelings and emotions, consent and permission, and healthy communication. And then for 4-6, you'll see cards that focus on tips for optimizing your well-being, traits and positive well-being, and how well-being operates in tandem with your brain. And each of those 4-6 activity cards are in packages of 5. Here's what we currently offer for our 7 through 12 grade bands. For 7-8, we offer our healthy relationship lessons. And then for grades 9 through 12, we have lessons on mental health literacy and protecting your online reputation. We do have many more resources for 7-8, 9-12 grade bands in the works. We know they'll be coming here shortly in the next 6 to 9 months. So keep an eye out for those. In addition to our curriculum pieces for students, we also have some great resources for educators. We first have our educator guide, which really is your guide to the entire well-being curriculum. It provides anything you need to know in terms of a comprehensive overview of all of the resources, scoping and sequencing for each of the lesson packages, as well as those all-important teacher tips that you want to know. And then in addition to our educator guide, we have 2 trauma-informed practice modules. We have our Intro to Trauma-Informed Practice module. It's there in the brown. This is really a great resource if you're just starting to develop your trauma-informed practice lens, or even if you're continuing to develop your practice. Our well-being module is designed around a trauma-informed practice lens, and this provides very helpful information for teachers about many warning signs as it relates to well-being and mental health issues. Anything from common issues like stress and grief and self-esteem challenges to more severe issues from substance abuse, misuse, self-harm, and even goes into suicidal ideation. Our trauma-informed practice modules also lay out different types and causes of trauma and how to create a classroom environment that is a safe, predictable space for students who are currently experiencing trauma or who have experienced trauma in the past. Finally, let's take a quick look at the foundational module. We want to do a walkthrough of this module with you. And this resource is not grade banded. It's really relevant for K-12. The great thing about the foundational module is that it gives your students full ownership of the brainstorming that they want to do to set up their caring classroom environment. What does it look like and sound like and feel like? And then this module provides those steps that students would take to make it a reality. And really, as the educator, your role is to help facilitate students to go through each step in this process. You'll see there, if you're familiar with the 4 steps of the service learning process, that students are really beginning with inquiry and really diving deep into what does that classroom environment look like that they want to create and be part of before they're then developing their action plan in lesson 3 and taking action in lesson 4. We know that one of the common questions we get when it comes to the foundational module is about pacing and is about timing. Like, when is really the best time of the year to bring the foundational module into your classroom? And here are our best recommendations. We highly recommend, if possible, spending a good chunk of time to implement these lessons, ideally in a full day setting or even in a half day setting, so that students have the space and the time to be able to do the full brainstorming, ideation, and to create this concept at one time. If that's just not possible, then our best next recommendation is to dedicate 1 full day, or 1 hour or a dedicated time each day over the course of 5 or 6 days to work through the lessons so that the process is fresh and engaging for students. And while These lessons, again, are ideal to do at the start of the year. We also know that there's a lot of value in doing the foundational module after returning from winter break. And many of these lessons can actually be repeated or reinforced throughout the school year as a good reminder for bringing your students back to the classroom environment that they had sought out to create and want to continue to support throughout the year. Finally, we've been talking so much about different approaches to supporting youth well-being in terms of our classroom curriculum. We're going to look at some of our virtual programming coming up here just shortly, but we wanted to give you a little dose of inspiration. Last year, students at Los Angeles Unified School District who were so passionate about supporting their mental health and the mental health of their peers created a first ever student-planned and student-led mental health and wellness symposium. Let's take a look at what they did.
Last year, we started connecting with high schools throughout the district so that they could showcase what mental health means to our high school students. They shared all these wonderful things that are happening on their school campuses for peer-to-peer work around mental health and wellness. So we started having conversations about hosting a symposium so that we could bring schools district-wide to share with other schools what work they're doing around peer-to-peer mental health on their campuses. And these students are able to return to their school and share the skills and tools that they learned today.
Your presence here today really demonstrates that as students, we're no longer content with ignoring the problem of mental health or sweeping it under the rug. Instead, we've chosen to take an active role in becoming student leaders in our community and agents of change. And our goal is really to have our district leaders learn from us how they can best support our mental health. This is really all about students who took the initiative to come here and share their projects because they know how important mental health is to us as youth. So they've taken their power and their voice and their talents and applied those to their projects, and now we're so excited to see what they've come up with.
Our students have made it loud and clear. They know that mental health and wellness is a top priority for them. And so they want to make sure that they bring us together to hear from them, design projects that are from them. And so that's what we're here to do today. Listen and be able to take ideas that we can then implement throughout the district.
I feel like everyone should have a day or a moment and understand what mental health is and really get educated on it. And when you hear it from peers and people that look like you, it's even more powerful because you know that those experiences that you go through are very much real and are shared by other people. I was walking over with some kids from Venice and they were just telling me how their mental health club advisor checks in on them and the things that they do for themselves. And we plan to take that back and use that towards our students.
I love helping people around me, and it makes me deeply saddened whenever I see, a student, a friend, somebody that's down on the ground, because I've been in their place and I was able to pick myself up, so why shouldn't I help others around me?
Families and parents and educators support our students, so the best way to do that is to give them a platform for them to tell us what makes them feel connected and engaged to school. And that's why this is important. Students are presenting their culminating projects to share with everybody what wellness looks like and what they would want to see in all of their schools, so students are feeling connected, engaged, and healthy.
Student mental health matters, and we're trying to meet the need in so many ways with school-based social work, but we also understand that peers have so much to offer because peers talk to peers. And what this symposium is doing is highlighting the work that peers are doing on their campuses. And so we hope to continue to build a capacity, make this even bigger and better, and let this be first of many symposiums to come.
I love that powerful video because it really illustrates how students can lead others in conversation about important topics, the skill development that they're after, as well as how to advocate to their schools, to administrators about what they need and how they need it. So, as a final reflection activity today, our question for you is, how have you seen students taking ownership of their mental health and well-being? Next up, we'd like to give you a mini preview of our upcoming Wellbeing Global Classroom, featuring our guest speaker, Joshua, who is a first-year university student this year. He knew going to school would be really stressful, and he needed to set himself up for success. So he created his very own well-being toolkit to make sure that he had something in his back pocket to bring out when those tough times hit. And he wants to support you and your students to do the same. So let's take a quick look.
Thanks for joining us on today's show, Joshua. Can you tell us more about yourself and why you're passionate about mental health?
Hey everyone, my name is Josh and I'm so excited to be here. So I'm a first year at Western University, and just before we begin, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about me. So in high school, I used to play football, I enjoy working out, I have an interest in dramatic arts, and I like taking photos. Like many of you, I'm really passionate about mental health and spreading awareness for this important topic. Unfortunately, in many communities, mental health is kind of a taboo topic due to all the stigma around it. And so one of my goals is I strive to break the stigma, and I do this by doing this interview and by doing stuff that I'll tell you a little bit more later on as we go into this. So over the past few years, I've had the privilege of working with many different clubs and initiatives on helping me succeed in this breaking stigma goal I've had. So in high school, majority of my years I spent working with student council. So we would do things supporting our school's mental health and well-being. In grade 11, I was selected to represent my school in a school board-wide initiative that helped in producing mental health resources as well as bringing awareness to these resources so students in the schools can use and help better their well-being.
You were a founding member of your school's Yes for MH Club. Can you share some examples of projects you led?
Yes for MH, or Yes for Mental Health, was a mental health club at our school, and it focused on providing students with resources surrounding their mental health that would help them in their student well-being. So, and I had the honor of helping to create this club along with my fellow students, our teacher leads, and a nurse. So shout out to all of you. I'm so proud of us for accomplishing what we did. So looking back at the memories I've had at this club, and one of them I'm really, really proud about. And this took place during our school's Wellness Week. So we organized this Wellness Week, and we had a table where students would come to us and they would exchange a category card So a category card would be something like, for example, categories would be their financial status or social life or school or a general category, and they would exchange this for a positive affirmation and some helpful advice. And so they would exchange it, and we would give them this positive affirmation, helpful advice, and then they would also, the next part of it was they would write maybe a more personal worry or a more personal thing that was on their mind, and they would put it in this bowl, and it would be a completely anonymous type of situation.
Awesome. That sounds like a really cool way to help your classmates seek advice on their well-being. On a personal level, what is in your well-being toolkit?
All right, so my well-being toolkit is something that I'm still working on and something that I'm still kind of tweaking as I go along my journey of life. And just a little note that I'm just sharing strategies that work for me. These may not work for you, so don't feel discouraged if you use one of my strategies and you're like, hey, this isn't really working for me. Don't feel discouraged. Nothing's wrong with that. Everyone has their own strategies they may use. I'm just kind of give you something what I use, and so hopefully that helps. So personally, I have a very strong religious background. I really think that relying on God really does help my mental health, just putting that all to Him. And another thing is, like I mentioned, working out is something that's big to me. So I find that really beneficial, especially paired with a really good workout playlist. I'm telling you, it's just the vibe. So I can go from feeling maybe not so high, kind of on the low mood. I'll go to the gym, I'll do some curls, do some squats, and I'll come back feeling in a more energized, more positive mood, ready to tackle on whatever kind of made me feel in that low mood. Another thing that's another important thing to me is just talking to family and friends. I find it so beneficial to talk to your family and friends, talk to people you trust, because it's just really beneficial. At least that I can find that they may offer perspectives that I didn't even think about, or really helpful advice. And it really helps rather than bottling my emotions in, just talking to people I trust and just venting to them.
Lastly, what advice do you have for other young changemakers?
I know it can be hard at times, but step out of your comfort zone and be okay with rejection. I know it can be hard, but just remember that there's so many more opportunities you're gonna get, and just to be ready for those opportunities, because at the end of the day, we can choose how we react to things. So maybe you didn't get that job you applied for, or that leadership role in the school club, and trust me, I've been there, I've been upset, but then I realized, you know what, there's gonna be plenty of more opportunities, and I'm gonna use what I learned, take this, and persevere. That's really important, to just keep persevering, keep trying to be the best you can be, and ultimately you're gonna land on a gold mine. You're gonna just find what truly moves you, and you're gonna be passionate, and you're gonna have a great time. And finally, I know another cliche, but be kind. Because truly, in a world where you can be anything, and I mean literally anything, why not be kind? Why not smile at people? Why not hold the door? Why not do these little things that cause such a big positive impact? Truly, think about it like this. So think about you're like a lighthouse guiding these ships who are in a storm back to land. So especially the people who are having a hard day, who are really struggling, be patient. Just kind of listen to them, be empathetic, listen to them, hear what they have to say, and just kind of help them go through these times. Be that person that people can come to you, and they can rely on you. They can find support in you.
Thanks for sharing your project with us today, Josh. It is so important to create spaces where people feel safe to seek advice and to help classmates understand that well-being should be practiced in all aspects of their daily lives.
And we've arrived at the moment where it's time to say thank you for being part of this learning opportunity with us today. If you'd like to revisit any parts of today's program, check out our Education Plus YouTube channel. You'll find this video and many more to help inspire your teaching practice and implementation know-how. Until the next time, take good care.
And with that, we've reached the end of our program. Thank you so much for joining today's professional development session. If you want to learn more about Wellbeing Canada, visit wellbeing-canada.ca or follow them on social at Wellbeing Canada. For access to all our classroom resources, award opportunities, and past global classrooms, visit educationplus.org. This program has been powered by Microsoft. For more free professional learning opportunities, check out Microsoft Learn in the link below. We have a little time left in our hour today, so you can let us know what you thought of today's program by completing the survey provided in the chat. Click the link in the chat to let us know your feedback. That's all from me today. Have a great rest of your day and see you next time.